Diego Cocca is the new coach of the Mexican national team. I don't know what to think of it. The style of Mexican football goes against what Diego Cocca is about. Diego Cocca is very tactical, yes. He understands players, yes. But what the Mexican footballer, the DNA of the Mexican footballer is about is more about possession, is more about playing with a bit more flair, a bit more style, a bit more technical skill. And that's not one of the things that Diego Cocca is about. He's more about being ultra defensive, backline of five, being very secure and prioritizing defense over anything else. Now, offensive skill ends up being a byproduct of that. It's worked in some cases, it hasn't in others. It worked at Atlas. It worked at Atlas because he ends up having a group of players that were able to fit into what happened. Yeah, there's been a lot of talk within Mexican football circles that there were Jesus Angulo, Jeremy Marquez amongst the players that really flourished under Diego Cocca. And I don't see it personally. Now, that being said, I'm not saying that he's not going to be successful. It's just that many fans of El Tri are not going to be satisfied with what he's looking to portray and offer. Maybe the bar has already been set lower a bit in terms of Mexican football, and that's why you see the media, to a certain extent, no longer trying to overhype what the Mexican national team is, or what they thought it should be, or what they thought it was. Meanwhile, in my opinion, if you look at it from a CONCACAF perspective, it just means that Mexican football is going through a generation that El Tri in and of itself, the whole entire cycle has kind of lost itself. You don't see that group of players that has been quite prevalent, that has been quite the effective generation of players truly come in. The ones that were part of those previous generations are a bit long in the tooth. So now it's time to start looking at younger players. And maybe Diego Cocca is the man for that. But as far as the tactical nous, in terms of what is established and what he wants to establish, there might end up being a bit of a cognitive dissonance when it comes to that. To me, I think that at this point, if you start looking at what Diego Cocca is able to offer, maybe the U.S. has taken that extra step away from El Tri, to be quite honest with you. And we'll only find out in the coming weeks and months. It's going to be a huge task for Diego Cocca because he's going to have to do a lot and with very little. I'm not talking about resources. I'm talking about with time, because he's not going to have to qualify for the World Cup. He's going to have to find ways to be able to progress in friendlies. That's going to be a tall task.